Okay, so we've all been there, right? You're just scrolling through your feed, minding your own business, and suddenly, bam, that heavy, sinking pit in your stomach hits you. Today, we are diving into an explainer that really unpacks that exact feeling. We're going to map out a journey that usually starts with super high hopes, totally descends into the crushing weight of comparison, and ultimately, thankfully, finds a really grounded, beautiful resolution.
Have you ever felt left behind when looking at your friends' achievements? I want you to really sit with that for a second. It's that quiet, almost suffocating feeling that everyone else somehow got a secret manual for success, and your copy just got lost in the mail. This is exactly where our story begins today. We usually kick off this journey with something we call the freshman illusion. You know the feeling. You step onto campus with the absolute highest expectations. You're going to rack up all these amazing achievements, build this massive overflowing social circle, and basically just coast to a perfect storybook ending. Looking back at those early orientation days, we genuinely believed we were stepping into, literally, the best 4 years of our lives.
And, well, at first, it actually feels fine. Semester one rolls around, and everyone is equally confused. Everyone is just desperately trying to figure out where their classes are and how to make friends. There's a really comfortable, messy equality in that shared panic. But as the semesters roll on, that equality totally shatters. Suddenly, your peers are pulling ahead. They're launching startups, leading massive organizations, winning huge competitions. And then there's you, just feeling utterly left behind, completely stressed out trying to finish basic, everyday assignments on time.
And then, of course, the digital world swoops in to amplify the pain. Your professional feeds suddenly turn into this absolute barrage of overwhelming announcements. You log on and boom, accepted for a multinational internship. Someone you barely even spoke to in your freshman seminar is suddenly stepping into this massive corporate role.
So you keep scrolling, right? And just a little bit further down, you see another friend posting about a first place finish in a national competition. At first, you really try to be supportive. You hit like, you drop a couple of congratulatory fire emojis, you might even share it on your own story. But quietly, down beneath all that forced support, a really dark, suffocating feeling starts to take root. And then there's another post, another update, full scholarship recipient, international delegate. I mean, it just keeps coming. It's this absolute flood of success, and you're just sitting there trying to keep your head above water while everyone else seems to be conquering the world at lightning speed.
Why does their life look so advanced while mine feels so ordinary? Reading all those updates with a totally forced smile. That critical question just gets secretly lodged in your brain. And what starts as just a passing, fleeting thought quickly hardens into a deeply ingrained, super painful habit. Welcome to the comparison trap. Once you're caught in this trap, a profound mental shift actually happens. Seeing your friends succeed used to be this pure source of inspiration, right? But now it's entirely morphed into a toxic, blaring alarm bell reminding you of your own personal failure. A friend wins a competition, and you feel like a total failure. A friend lands an internship, and you suddenly feel completely incompetent. So, in an absolute panic to catch up, you create this exhausting checklist. It turns into a total obsession. GPA must rise, must join competitions, must be active in organizations, must expand the network, must get certificates, must secure an internship. It becomes this frantic, breathless, nonstop race to just prove you're enough, based entirely on everyone else's highlight reels. But here is the really tragic irony of that frantic race. The more targets that were made, the emptier everything felt. All of that outward, panicked effort, it wasn't building confidence at all. Actually, it was completely hollowing it out. The focus totally shifted away from any actual meaningful accomplishments and got entirely consumed by everything that was supposedly missing. Picture this for a second. It's late, you're sitting alone in the library. At the very next table, a group is intensely prepping for a huge competition. Up front, someone's finalizing a major presentation. And scattered all around you are students wearing their impressive alma mater jackets, just radiating confidence. Surrounded by all this forward momentum, you just feel incredibly small, completely stuck in place while the rest of the world speeds right by. So you go back to your quiet room, stare blankly at a laptop screen, and a really harsh truth sets in. This burnout, it isn't academic. It's not from writing papers or studying for midterms. It is a complete, total emotional exhaustion from the heavy, crushing burden of constantly comparing yourself to literally every single person you know. But right here, right in the absolute depths of this exhaustion, a simple accident changes the entire narrative. Just a random click on the laptop opens up this old folder filled with photos from that very first semester. And taking a slow, deep breath, a brand new perspective begins to emerge. Looking through those photos, reality actually comes into focus. You see an image of a first-class presentation, and you suddenly remember the sheer terror, the shaking hands, and then the realization hits. Wait a minute. Today, I can present confidently without even blinking. You remember being way too scared to join any group, compared to actively participating and exploring the future now. Suddenly, the focus shifts entirely away from those external, shiny accolades and lands right on profound, undeniable internal growth. Because you know what? The problem was never a lack of growth. Not at all. The problem was that we were using a completely unfair metric. We fall into this trap of comparing our messy, developmental Chapter 3 against someone else's highly polished, triumphant Chapter 10. It makes absolutely no sense when you think about it. When we look at others, we are only seeing their final results. We aren't seeing their struggles, their late-night fears, or their deep insecurities. We have to remember that behind literally every highlight reel is a blooper reel. Not everyone who looks wildly successful actually feels confident. Even those peers who seem to have it all figured out, they face their own profound doubts, and honestly, they're probably comparing themselves to someone else too. And that beautiful realization brings us to a much healthier definition of personal growth. It is a journey to evolve step by step, day by day, becoming a better version of yourself compared to who you were yesterday, not compared to the person sitting next to you in class, and definitely not compared to some curated post on social media. The goal isn't to be superior. The goal is simply just to grow. Because in the end, there is only one single timeline that actually dictates your success. Just one. And that is your own. Now, does the insecurity magically vanish forever? No, of course not. There are still going to be occasional pangs of jealousy. But it no longer controls the narrative because of one incredibly simple truth. Just because you aren't exactly where you want to be today absolutely doesn't mean you aren't actively on your way there. The moment you stop looking to the left and to the right, you can finally just take a breath and start walking on your own path. Which leaves us with this final thought to close out today's explainer. Are you walking on your own timeline? Take a step back from the comparison trap today. Look at how far you've come from your own Chapter 1, and honestly, just honor your own progress. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time.